Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Monrovia City Council recap here at KGEM. My name is Julie Bank, and with me is my beautiful all-female co-host.
Yes, Jodynne Wood.
Carmen Martinez.
And we are here to give you a recap of the City Council meeting for March 17th, 2026, which happens to be St. Patrick's Day, and a bunch of them were wearing green.
Yeah, it was kind of nice to see
the festivity. Many of us were in green.
Kind of sad that they didn't bring the beer with them, but you know.
Well, that's for the next meeting, I'm sure.
We suggested that.
They didn't listen. No.
Apparently it's not allowed.
Okay, well, there you go.
There you go.
So the meeting did start a little late. It started at 7:39. All of the city council members and the mayor were in attendance. Yeah. And they started it in honor of, and I think the mayor wasn't sure how to pronounce this, and I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it was the birth of Kelsey Ann Paguate.
It's Pagliotti.
There you go.
There you go.
Very better. Who was born on March 1st, 2026, to one of the recreation coordinators. So happy birthday. Welcome to our newest Monrovia.
I know, adorable baby.
It's always so
cute.
sweet. Yep. We then had the invocation, which was given by Dylan Feek. And I really appreciated that in that invocation, he mourned the loss of wildlife, which we are going to get to in a minute. Yep. But that was really nice that he put it right in the invocation and right up front.
And he prayed for the bear and he prayed for the lady.
Yes.
That's right.
I guess it's a lot of backlash.
Yeah.
So
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
And then so the invocation was given by Dylan. The pledge was given by Dr. Tamala Kelly. They had no closed sessions, but they did have 2 study sessions. I don't know what they were about, but she said that they were very productive. And then they went right into presentations and proclamations. My favorite presentation every month is the Pasadena Humane Society, or it's actually Pasadena Humane now. And they brought Cliffy, their pet of the month. And it was sweet that the foster mom was there too. And Cliffy was doing tricks. And
Cliffy is so well trained and adorable. Any family would be lucky to have that dog. And apparently the dog's living right now with 2 other dogs and a cat.
That's right.
So seem very versatile, but I know this is my favorite part of the meeting.
Go adopt Cliffy.
Go adopt Cliffy.
You can see Cliffy's picture. And a reminder to everybody that this recap is really to give you a very quick understanding of what happened. Yep. But if there is anything that we talk about that you want to go see, we do recommend that you go watch the city council meeting directly. This one was a short one. It was only an hour and a half. Yeah,
super quick.
So go for it.
And you can always fast forward to things that you want to see if you don't want to sit through the whole thing.
That's right.
But if you sit through the whole thing, you learn more about the city and get surprised later on when something happens.
Or not say you didn't know.
Exactly.
Which is the whole point of all of this. Yep. But so you can be informed. Okay. Next thing was PR2, which declared March 29th Vietnam War Veterans Day. And Mayor Shevlin read a proclamation, and then Larry Spicer, Councilmember Spicer, accepted it on behalf of all the veterans.
And I'm a mom of a veteran, so I was very grateful for that.
And I think he plugged the Veterans Center at the library. Is it called the Veterans Center? The Veterans Resource Center. Yeah, at the library. Yes. So if anybody needs some support, the library has a Veterans Resource Center. There was no student government report. And then that jumped us to 11 minutes and 24 seconds in to RCC 5, where there was a pretty robust presentation from the sanitation district. Individual's name was Andrew Hall. And apparently they want to raise our fees. And Mr. Hall gave us a plea about why they're raising the fees, and that there's a hearing if you want to go and express your concern. There is a process that you could go through if you don't want to pay the extra fees. And he's trying to encourage people to come to the hearings because some people have said that they didn't get their hearing notices.
Right. I mean, and again, a lot, we all get a lot of junk mail, and I didn't, that notice didn't stand out for me. It probably was, and a bunch of stuff and went out. I thought he did a really nice job of presenting the reason why the fees are going up. I think it's just under $3 a month.
So it's the increase is $2.50 to $2.75 for Monrovia residents starting in July 2026.
Yeah.
But I do talk about the pending 218 process. Is what I notated, but it like you said, it was very robust, so it's good for you guys to go watch that particular area. It starts at 11:28 in the videos. So
yep, perfect. All right, so then we're jumping to 21 minutes and 7 seconds in. We went to consent calendar. As a reminder, that is the normal business calendar that they can approve in one swoop. And nothing was pulled except they did have a change on CC8, which said that they can cancel vendors sooner and that gives them a cost benefit. And Sergio Jimenez motioned and Edward Belden second, and the consent calendar CC1 to CC12 was passed.
I think it's I just want to say, like, one thing about the consent calendar, it's important to look at those things and because they are passed in a big swoop. So just, it takes a minute to go through what they're going to be. They're in the agenda. The agenda's online. It's very easy to access. Again, like the whole point is of this and the city council meetings is so that you can't walk around and say, I didn't know. The information's out there.
I guess you can, but
you can, but the information's there.
Yeah. So really quickly, there were 12 items that were approved in one swap, like you said. Yeah. But number 5, CC5 talks about I can't say that word. Is she? That word, but.
Something about unclaimed funds.
So the state of California always has money that people don't collect. So Monrovia is going to send that money to the state. So check it out and you might have money.
Yeah. The California unclaimed fund thing is real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've collected like $500.
Yeah, I've collected money.
Wow. Cool.
So anyway, moving right on.
All right. So we jumped in at 22.12 minutes into public comments, not on the agenda. This is the opportunity for anyone to come up and say about anything of importance to them that's not on the calendar. The first 2 speakers were speaking about immigration and ICE. That was John Shaw and Sherry Lochner. And Sherry read the names of 9 additional individuals who were lost since the last time the names were read at the city council meeting. Before I move on to our next speaker, is there anything we want to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to remember these people. Yeah. And I love that they both came up with very well thought out information, suggestions on what we can be doing as a city. I know one of the suggestions was that Monrovia become a sanctuary city. I mean, I am very passionate about this cause. That these are our neighbors. These are people that we live with. These are not criminals. I mean, we could go down the rabbit hole, but I really appreciated them coming up with just very clear, concise information about what they were looking for. But the name remembrance, I think, is very, very important. These are people, and it's important for us to remember that.
It was me at one point. So for me, it's really personal. Important. Yeah, it's I was brought here when I was a teenager. So some of these people are here not because of themselves, but maybe because of their families. So there's a whole story behind it. And when we get to know people, we get to understand at a different level. So it might be people that you are friends with that you might not even know, but moving right along.
Yeah.
The next speaker was amazing.
The next speaker was pretty awesome. It was, I didn't catch his name. I don't think he gave his name, but he was a very young man. I'm going to assume about 9. It looked like his dad.
I had him as a child.
Yeah. But his dad, I guess, brought him to the city council meeting, and he wanted to get up there and speak. And he spoke about wanting to help animals. And he says that it's really hot out there and that we should build little houses for animals. And
little log cabins.
Little log cabins. That's right. And I think that was terrific to start somebody really young as speaking. So way to go.
Yes.
Whatever your name is, way to go. And dad, too.
And then kudos to Dylan, because Dylan said, hey, the city council can answer.
That's
so the little boy didn't feel like nobody's paying attention to him. But he said, hey, there's a builder right there, so you guys connect.
Yeah, it was very sweet.
I just thought it was really awesome. So kudos, Dylan.
Yeah. And that ended public comment. So we jumped at 31 minutes and 50 seconds in. We jumped into the city manager reports, which is RCM-1, starting with the fifth graders of all the elementary schools are coming to tour the city. And it's always a fun experience. And Dylan thanked the teachers and all the people who went to make that happen. So I guess they're coming this Thursday, as in today is Thursday, right?
Thursday.
So maybe we'll hear that we'll see some pictures and we'll see that they've come. And then we went into the meat of the conversation. And I'm actually going to take my glasses off for this conversation because he spoke a bunch about the recent bear incident that occurred here in the city of Monrovia. We don't actually have all the details, but there was a resident who was walking their dog, somehow in an interaction with a bear that the community affectionately calls Blondie, who had a couple of bear cubs. The bear swiped. We don't know why. And apparently this is the second incident that the bear swiped. So U.S. Fish and Wildlife felt that the bear was a threat, removed the bear and her cubs, and have since euthanized the bear.
Yeah.
I think the community is really up in arms because there was a whole lack of information, a lack of decision-making, a lack of involvement.
Yes.
And then when you have all that kind of stuff, stories go, is a lot of stuff. And I think just everybody feels really yucky about it.
Yeah, so there was a petition for signatures going around. I believe there were already like 3,100 signatures that were gathered fairly quickly. And Dylan said that he doesn't understand why they did not take our community's input in consideration. And Becky seemed pretty, I don't know what the right word would be, but she was agitated, upset that we didn't have any input in the decision making. And I think everybody's feelings in general is that we are in their territory. So we should be able to interact, and that maybe that bear, that's where the term mama bear comes in, right? She was taking care of her babies, but that maybe she should have been moved to a different location where she could have raised her cubs and not be killed.
I will say that there's, from an animal welfare perspective, it's not so easy to just relocate them. There's other bears in those territories, and it is a scientifically complicated situation. Yeah. But with that said, unfortunately, sometimes decisions are made based on just policy, and it's black and white, and we are talking lives here, and we're talking, things that are not necessarily black and white.
Yeah, if she had been relocated and then a child would have been killed, then we would have been up in arms. Why wasn't the bear relocated, right? So we don't know the whole story. We felt strongly about it, but we don't have the expertise to really weigh in. I think what I did get about the meeting was that we need to tone down how we feel about the lady that was walking her dog.
Yeah, because we don't have the whole story, and either way, you really don't know how.
Her.
Yeah, you really don't know how you'd be if a bear was coming at you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So air horns are relatively inexpensive. I used to have boxes of it. I'm not sure where they went. But if you're going to be walking around, especially in northern Monrovia, take an air horn and just be...
Wear a bear bell. I have a bear bell. A lot of our neighbors, we wear bear bells. It's just a little jingle bell. It costs $1.
Yeah.
Wear the bell, go walk with friends, talk with people. I talk to my dogs when I'm walking because I have bears in my yard. I have bears around. I did really appreciate that Dylan said, let's not point the fingers at the wrong people. This wasn't this woman's fault. Really wasn't the bear's fault. The issue for me, and I think the issue with the mayor and Dylan also was feeling the frustration that the decision was made so quickly.
And without speaking to the community. It was almost like it's just another bear who cares. But the Monrovia community cares.
Yeah,
and we care. We care about each other. We care about the bears. We care about the community that we're in, and it's just not cool.
They brought up how we have so many bears, like bear sculptures, right? In different places in the city. But anyway.
Yeah. And also when I moved here, one of the first things I got from the city was an email saying, hey, we have this class on living with wildlife. And they did a really great webinar. And I know they have it regularly. I mean, that was one of the points that we are living with wildlife. We should have had input. We didn't. To me, this goes back to, and even Dylan brought this up, like, look, Fish and Wildlife, they have lack of resources. It was probably a couple people with very little time being pressured to make a decision.
They also don't really have any. It's not like you can just put a bear somewhere. I mean, it's
yeah.
expensive to take care of a bear. There's not that many rehab facilities that take care of bears. There's really no place for that bear to go. The bear has potentially been involved in 2 different incidences. So and there's some state law too.
Right.
So they're just like, okay, bear.
Right.
But I don't think they realize to the extent. Yeah. And with that, this is not part of what they said yesterday, but apparently there is a vigil for Blondie the bear in Library Park on Saturday morning at 9 a.m., I think, if anybody wants to go to that. And I will also say that there was some dialogue and conversation about where the cubs are, because there were 2 cubs. Supposedly they went to a wildlife rehab organization, and the city is wanting to know where those bears are, so that if any of the Monrovia community would like to support their care and rehabilitation and hopefully ultimately release, that they can do that. So more to come on that. Hopefully we'll find out more there. All right, well, that was sad. So we're going to move on to something really not so sad, which was Rebecca Sandoval coming and talking about the fact that Monrovia got a wonderful grant from the LA County Regional Parks Department, Measure A grant. And they went to an award ceremony where they received $460,000 towards the park planning and design for recreation parks. So our parks are just exploding, and it's great.
And well done for applying for those grants. And I know they have several more applications out for more grants.
$15 million worth of applications for more grants.
It's great. Like, this can't be all on us. So, and there are grants available. Yeah. This is really exciting. I mean, Monrovia has great parks.
We do. We have great people who are working really hard to try to continue to make those parks bigger and better and better and better, which is great. All right, we're going to move on to 48 minutes and 37 seconds in, where we went to city council member reports, starting with council member Edward Belding. He talked about how a bunch of them went to Read Across America. I will tell you that I read to a 4th grade class at Wild Rose. And when I just was out of town, I came back from out of town, and I had a big package at home waiting for me with like 20 pictures of the book I read, and kids. It was like the sweetest thing ever. My partner was like, "What are you going to do with those?" I'm going to hang them up on the wall. I love them. So yeah, it was really, really nice. He said that he enjoyed it. He also talked about, he went to some showcase that was about the reduction of air pollution and lots of equipment and different kind of equipment.
And rebates.
So if you're interested in, he was talking about lawnmowers and things like that. Yeah. If you're interested in any of that, you can look that up.
And something about your ears.
I didn't get it either.
And he talked about the marathon, right? So he's very passionate, I think.
He said that there were 45 people from Monrovia who were in the LA Marathon, and that he says that if you want to run, you could check out Snail Pace, the Adrenaline Club, the Run Club, the TNT Club. So there's lots of runners here in Monrovia.
I snailed the first one.
You snailed in the snail?
The LA Marathon? The very first LA Marathon I went to.
You went to it, or you ran in it?
I ran, but so I eventually finished
it's better than some other people don't.
Never went again. I'm like, that was it.
They have the bike crashing the night before, which apparently
that's where he met his wife.
Edwin said he met his wife there. I thought that was cute. Yeah.
And he also talked about the house party.
Yep.
So it's a community event that it's held by Chris Lewis every year. Mm-hmm. I think we did the 3rd or 4th this year. So just remember, right around St. Patrick's Day for next year.
And he talked about food ed, composting and education event coming up. And he talked about right now there is the comprehensive safety and bike master plan is out for everybody's review. That Wednesday at 6 p.m., next Wednesday at 6 p.m., there is a virtual meeting about it. And they recommend everybody take a look at it.
Yeah, this is one of those things, like, you go online and everyone's kind of commenting online. Here's your chance.
Yes, here's your chance
to read it and participate.
Don't complain after.
That's it.
Councilmember Spicer did not have a report this week, but Councilmember Dr. Kelly did, and she also asked about immigration resources. She wants to make sure that there's enough immigration resources on the website. So I think the mayor or Jodynne said that they were going to look into what's on there now and make sure that there's more. There was a really interesting conversation. Apparently, she is the liaison to MOTAB, which is the Downtown Merchants Association. And the businesses are very concerned about the loss of business. They spoke about the movie theater and that this week has been the slowest business week in like history or for a very long time. And they need more business. So please shop local, guys. Yeah. Please go out there. But
it's one of those things that we shouldn't complain later that we don't have it, right?
Right.
Because we're complaining that we don't have the movie theater. But when we had the movie theater, we weren't going. So we don't want to lose business. So if there's a business that you love, go.
Yeah. And then Dr. Kelly had asked Dylan at the next city council retreat to put the issue of attracting businesses into the community and asking other businesses other communities how they're bringing businesses in. So she wants that added to the retreat agenda so that the city can look at how they can help the downtown businesses. She also recommended that everybody get out there. If you like wine, you go to the 9th annual Old Town Wine Walk.
Yes.
That you could buy tickets online at Charlie's house, at the community center. And the wine walk is Saturday, April 11th. It is an event that sells out really quickly. So get your tickets right now.
Yeah, I've been there a couple of times. It's really fun. You don't have to drink wine. There's a lot of food and you get along.
Little nibbits, right?
Yeah, and then you get to see people that you're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were here. You know, it's a fun community event.
Yeah. And then she also spoke about that the Easter Bunny is coming.
Yeah.
The Easter Bunny is coming to Library Park this Saturday. I think it's Library Park this Saturday. Mm-hmm. And that you should come out and there'll be lots of library activities as well for you to do that. She also spoke about the One City, One Story program. Did you read your book?
I have not read my book.
There's still free books at the library for anybody who wants a copy of the book. It's called The Bear.
The Bear. I know.
And there have been talk backs at every one of the parks throughout the past couple of months. There is a end of program ceremony on March 28th. Yep. And the entire community should come out for that. And it's going to be at Station Square Park.
I love
in the afternoon.
Yeah, I love this program. I'm an avid reader. The reason I haven't read it is in another book club. And then a bunch of friends gave me books for my birthday. So I'm a little behind. But I love that the thought, like you could walk up to a total stranger in Monrovia and they're reading this and it gives you something like it's the perfect icebreaker. Yeah. And you'll find we all have so much in common. And that's what I love about this town.
Secretly know what the book is going to be for next year. Oh. And if you come to the event on March 28th, you too will be in the know of what the book is for next year. It's going to be a fun one. Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
I need to read this book though.
Yeah. And it's short and easy to read. Yeah. It really is short and easy to read. Okay. So moving on to council member, or I guess Mayor Pro Tem Sergio Jimenez. He spoke about the Knights of Columbus fish dinners that is going from this Friday through April 3rd or 30th.
Third. I think
it should go to Easter.
Because it's for Easter.
Yeah. It's for Fridays.
So if you like fish and you want to support the community, go there.
It's really fun. It's a great dinner. I think I can't remember. They do fish fry and they do a grilled fish, or they have clam chowder. But it's fun. It's great.
Cheese.
Oh yeah, they do grilled cheese.
For vegetarians like me.
I believe Becky's favorite is the coleslaw. Because
the coleslaw.
She said that you could just get a big bucket of coleslaw.
All right. So speaking of Becky,
yes,
Mayor Shevlin, she spoke about a couple of things, starting with the Emergency Centralized Response Center. Somehow she was tying that into homeless services and that they provide a whole bunch of things. And there was a whole of records. And if you're interested in that, go watch it. She also talked about the San Gabriel Valley Public Affairs Network. I just wrote that down. I don't know what she said about it, but you can listen to her talk. She said CBS News, it did a 1 minute and 30 second thing on the closure of the movie theater, and she was really excited because she might have a soundbite in it.
And because she says that she thinks it's going to be a positive spin.
Yes.
So not the negative
Positive spin on the movie theater closing.
Yeah.
I don't
well,
know.
I mean,
We'll see. I think it meant a positive spin on Monrovia.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. And then she also said something about the chamber is looking at a program from Hawaii. So that's something, if you want to know what that program was, then check that out. And then she also wished people happy Passover, which is April 1 through 9 coming on up. That was the end of the council member reports. And the final thing of the evening was at 1 hour, 6 minutes, 51 seconds. It was AR1, which is the annual report on the status of the general plan. And that is a report that they are needing to get once a year, which this was the report. And it was for receive and file, which means there was no discussion about it. It was really just for information. And Sherry Burnell gave a pretty comprehensive meaty presentation on this general plan, which included a lot of information about affordable housing. And it gets submitted to different states, departments. Yep. There's like 3 or 4 of them it has to go to and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So just a quick snippet. A general plan is something that's needed from every city.
Yeah.
And that determines how they're going to do their zoning, their downtown, their services, everything. How is it going to work in the city? And that's why it needs to go to state.
And it's about the state housing target.
Right.
Yeah.
So
there's
every 5 years or so they have to
reevaluate
redo it.
Yeah.
And every year they have to reevaluate it.
Yep. So that pretty much was the end of the report.
Yeah.
Before that we go to when the next meeting is, I think there was something else you wanted to just mention, right?
I don't know if I'm like jumping ahead, but she mentioned that we have 1,228 units permitted, which is 74% of what they have to do for the state. So that means that we have, if I understood it right, 1,228 new units for people to live in, whether it's apartment buildings or houses, I don't know. But she was excited that they're 74% and they're ahead of what they're expected to do.
And it seemed like there were a lot of ADUs that are being applied for and being permitted. As I built an ADU in 2019. Monrovia has a very easy process. Yeah. It's great. I love it. I built it originally for my daughters, but now I have a renter who was displaced because of the fire. So it's worked out very well for both of us. And if you're thinking about doing an ADU, Monrovia just makes it very easy.
All right, cool. So the meeting was closed. The next meeting on the schedule is Tuesday, April 7th at 7:30 p.m. And that ended the meeting.
That was it. It was a quick one.
Yeah, the meeting ended at 9:09 p.m. It was about an hour and 30 minutes, as I said earlier. And lots of quick business and interesting business. And
to the point, well presented.
I just thank you to our city council and our city staff for all the hard work that you do and keeping us safe, keeping us informed. And you too can continue to be informed by either watching these. You can be, I forgot to say, you can be part of this.
Be part of this.
If you want to be part of this, we'd love to have you. Reach out to KGEM. And with that, any final comments?
No, it was great being with you guys. It was
great being with you too.
I know, good to
it's
see
nice
you.
to stay on top of what's going on for the city.
Yeah. Well, great. Thank you very much. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time.